again, for the board as well as for anybody that may be watching, some givens or some central tenets of our plan that we're using to base our plans on. So our ultimate goal, my ultimate goal, is to have our students in the classrooms. So what do we have to do to get our students in the classrooms in any shape or form to the extent possible with any of the guidelines that exist from the Department of Health, from State Ed, et cetera. So that's what we're looking at, is what are the tiered approaches to that, and then how do we do that in a synchronous model. So in a hybrid model, we will have to split our students into different cohorts. So for the purpose of this conversation, I'll say cohort A and cohort B. Cohort A would be following a schedule that they're in on certain days, receiving the live instruction in the classroom. Cohort B would be doing it remotely. Either way, like I said, the students are following their schedules, and the importance of that, and the reason why I'm really centering things on that, is because A, routine is important, the direct instruction with the teacher is essential, but also we have to prepare for what steps 2, 3, 4, etc. may look like, and if we are able to transition back into increased numbers in the classroom, then we have to have a plan in place to accommodate that, and this does that. It also allows us to pivot if necessary and go all remote and remaining as a synchronous model, which I think we can all agree is more effective than what was employed in the spring. So today our committee did look at the different, several different options that I just threw out there, just different ways in which it could be configured. And again, I can get into that further, but I'll kind of close with that these plans are the central focus of our work at this point. While none of the other things have necessarily stopped, this is highly of high importance, and we need to get this right. And we have high expectations for ourselves. We have a great committee that's involved with it, but I will take any input or questions, insight that any of you have at this point. And as I always say, if you ask a question, I'll give you an answer.
Mike, is the committee also discussed it, I know this is a very complicated situation and it's very hard and there's no great answer. Is the committee also discussed what the situation would be, God forbid, one of the children come down with the virus in a class? I mean, what would be the process at that point?
Yeah, that's exactly one of the major components of the plan is the screening of students. What does that look like? How are you keeping records, so to speak, on that to ensure that that has been happening? And then if there is a staff member or a student that is suspected of having it, then your plan has to indicate what your response would be as far as isolating that individual until they will no longer be on the campus, and then also the immediate response to that area or any areas that the student or staff member may have encountered. So those are all expectations that the state has indicated are essential parts of the plan, and so those are part of the plans that we're developing. And that's where you bring up a great point. It also, we have to look at our building and then different spaces that we'll use for different things. If we need to relocate a cohort of students to what we know is a disinfected classroom because we find out that an area is not, we have to have that space. We also have to have a separate space that we know is a safe spot if we have to isolate a student or students that are suspected of having COVID. So it's multi-layered in that. So it's a great question. Is that part of the plan that needs to be submitted by July 31st? To be clear, the business portal, which is where we enter different reports and surveys, et cetera, from State Ed, that is that survey is really just us checking boxes saying that we assure that we are going to comply with it. Our actual plan, our comprehensive plan, the expectation is that we would actually have that, not the expectation, it's what we will have to do. That is to be posted to our website and publicly disseminated. So yes.
Okay.
The answer is yes, but I just wanted the board to know that what we're actually reporting to the state, I'll share that with you this evening via email after the meeting. It's really just, I don't want to minimize it. It's a tremendous amount of work, but what you're actually hitting submit on is a checklist of all the things that you must have included in your plan. Yeah.
Anything else, Bill? Ray, did you have any questions?
Yes, Mike, can you, we have some certain sections that have more students than others. How can you speak to how you're going to be able to make those classes, those class sizes, with the social distancing, if everyone does come back, obviously? Can you speak to that?
Sure. Just to clarify, are you talking about in a hybrid model where we have 2 cohorts, or are you talking about if we have all of our students in?
All in.
We, at this point, given the guidelines, we cannot accomplish that, given the parameters. So if you take the square footage of any of the classrooms, that can't happen. While this doesn't answer your question per se, one of the questions may be if we have some of our classes that are, we can designate them as a special class or a self-contained classroom that are mandated with numbers that we can get all students in. At this point of my planning phase, while this is, the committee is still, many of these things still have to be discussed with the committee. It's my position that if we have a cohort of students that are in a program such as a self-contained classroom where we have 11 students, let's say, for example, that those students would actually, we could feasibly make it so that those students are in every single day, receiving live instruction in person with the teacher or teachers that they would normally interact with, and with other aspects of our student population that's just not possible given our number of rooms and the number of students that we could fit in a room and still follow the guidelines for social distancing, because that mask concept comes back to that.
Thank you.
I was wondering if we have a hybrid model and there are parents that do not feel safe sending their child to school, will they be able to attend remotely only?
So that's certainly a charged question, Linda. It's my position that there will be incredible amounts of shared decision making. It'll be a very thoughtfully put together plan with getting feedback from many entities of this. That being said, I preface it with this: it's my philosophy and my position at this point that the plan that we come up with for our school district is for all students. So if we are in a hybrid model, then it's my position at this point, unless otherwise directed by the state, that we would have the expectation that the students would follow the schedule as they would during any other scheduling that the school district does. And I know that may not be well received by some and may not be appreciated by others, but if I'm nothing if fully transparent. That's how I feel, and that's where I am right now. I would welcome the opportunity to meet with any parent or any of the students that would have a concern and explain to them what safety protocols we will put in place and what safety protocols will continue to be in place long after this particular era. And and I would appreciate that opportunity. If at the end of all of that the parent still elects to not send their student or student children to school because of all this, then there's the one option of the home instruction, homeschooling.
Right, that's what I was going to add. And then the other thing is there going to be I've read a lot of different articles in the paper about whether the schools would be able to be held responsible if any kid got sick. Are we having any kind of investigation into that kind of a subject?
Yeah, I mean that's beyond our control. What we can do is we can control what we can control. which is our plans, and
Okay.
we can have everything in place to ensure that we have a response. You know, it's the if-then statements that I keep going back to, right? If this happens, then this is our response, and we put everything in together to be proactive. And at the end of the day, if you do that with fidelity, that's all we can do. You know, we can't control some of those aspects of if someone elects to hold us liable for an infection. It's just, yeah, I have no response beyond we are working incredibly hard to make sure that we're in compliance, but then also in many aspects when it comes to the health and safety that we're exceeding what they're saying needs to happen, right? So there's the meet and exceed type of concept.
Yeah, and every child that goes to school catches the measles or the chicken pox if they haven't been inoculated against it anyhow. So, I mean, it's the regular flu. I mean, we're not held responsible for that either. So I don't see why we should be, but I just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, no, and it's certainly a conversation, and I was on the New York School Boards Association, had their annual law conference earlier today. I was on that, and it was hosted obviously by attorneys from across New York State, and that was one of the concepts that they did discuss. And again, there's no answer from the attorneys other than, do what you would do in any other situation is don't allow negligence to come into the equation. You develop plans. It's similar to a physical education class. It's a playground. You put protocol in place, and
Right.
with the expectation that you're doing everything to keep everyone safe, but also protect the school district.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike, is that, I understand your position, and, but is that decision really?
Your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go, okay. I hear you say that, that's your position if you do the hybrid model that, that pertains to every student. Does that seriously take into consideration parents and children that have a compromised immune system that puts them in harm's way to be in such a situation?
No, that's separate and distinct. So, the guidance is crystal clear, in my opinion, is crystal clear on the examples of conditions that would, qualify. What we're hoping for is, or at least I'm hoping, I'll just continue to speak for myself. I'm hoping for additional guidance on what does it look like if, for example, if a staff member is compromised, I know the result, right? I know what we have to put in place, et cetera. If a student is compromised, I know the process that we have to follow. What's not clear to me at this point is if a staff member's spouse is compromised, where is our responsibility, obligation, and process? So I am seeking clarification on that,
Okay.
and I'm also seeking clarification on what if a parent of a student, and what does that look like? So the short answer is no. What I'm talking about is, which I did hear an attorney do a great job of making the analogy. We're not talking about ones that aren't comfortable.
Right.
We're talking about ones that it's not, to use the word that they often use, practicable, right? And so, but it really goes against medical advice. So separate and distinct. Sorry for the long answer, Mr.
That's
Honford.
quite all right, thank you.
Did you ever jump off of that, Kayla? I saw you. I just wanted to go back to he's got one too. Back to what Linda was saying about whether or not they would come to school or if it would be at home. Just to clarify, you did say home instruction rather than homeschooling when you first, and I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on that. It's not school-provided home instruction. It is, they would be homeschooling their own children.
Honestly, I'm guilty of one of my biggest pet peeves, which is the mixing up of those, so I misspoke at first.
I know you corrected, and I understood. I just want to
yes.
make sure that it's clear across the board.
Homeschooling where the student's parent or guardian would complete an IHIP, an individualized home instruction plan. So that's where the commingling of those get put in there. But yeah, it's not district-provided tutoring. Yep.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for the clarification.
Tanya?
I'm fortunate enough to be able to attend these meetings, so I ask questions throughout every single one of them. You can, I know, sorry. So I don't have any additional questions here.
Okay. Kayla, do you have any questions? Was it Judy? Flo? Okay, I have 2 questions only because they were asked of me. Will we have devices available for all students that might need them at home?
Yes. So at this point, while there is a back order on Chromebooks, as one could expect, I was informed today that back order is actually potentially till February. That being said, orders were put in, and we have our IT director here this evening, but it's according to our inventory, assuming that all the devices that are currently at home with the students are still in working order, number to number. When we open this school year, we will be at 1-to-1 devices
Great
of devices to students or students to devices. We were hoping to have in excess of that, so we could have some excess Chromebooks for obvious reasons, and also for faculty use. At this point, those numbers aren't there. But I am happy that a goal that we had a couple years ago was to get to 1-to-1. Unfortunately, COVID accelerated that. Some monies, yeah.
The class of 2020 had extra funds left over at the end of the school year. And so one of the things that they decided to do is they gift something back to the school. And they thought it was appropriate to gift back a Chromebook cart, because they were the beginning of online learning. So they want a little plaque on they're donating I thought it was cute.
It's very thoughtful.
It's very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
And I'm going to ask this question because it was asked to me, but I'm sure it's in your plan. When you go to these models, people are concerned that some kids are going to be home today and other kids in their family are going to be home tomorrow. Is there going to be an attempt to ensure that does not happen?
No, it'll exceed an attempt.
Okay.
So one of the things that one might expect is to divide it up by alphabet or by geographical location in your district. I believe our size and our dynamics will make the geographical component difficult. What I am planning on doing, and without fully running the report to see if there are any inconsistencies, is to do it by alpha, by parent, not by child. So that way if there are, let's just say, for example, 3 children in the household, in the residence, but 2 have one last name or one has a hyphenated name, etc., it would capture all that, because I do think that it is essential that all the students in a residence, unless other circumstances prevent that, are all in the same cohort.
And to that point, what's going to be critical with that also, it helps with the social distancing, as we provide transportation, because the same concerns, of course, that exist in a classroom exist on the bus, so that will lend itself to that as well.
What Mr. Lenz is leading to is that on the school bus, students from different residences must be socially distanced according to the current guidance. If they live in the same household, obviously that's not of the same necessity. So theoretically, 2 brothers could share a seat on the bus where 2 neighbors could not.
Okay. Did anyone else have any other questions? No? Well, thanks for the update, and we know it changes every day, so.
Yeah, if there are questions, or if you wanted to discuss the different options of what the hybrid model, could possibly look like, certainly let me know, and we'll continue to provide updates, through email, etc. But you certainly call, and we can discuss any of those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now let me go Okay, so next on the agenda is administrative reports. Mr. Lenz?
Well, good evening. I was just going to point out, as you saw on the agenda, the treasurer's report is there. It's not there for your approval this evening. To answer why that is that Mark Levy actually will be coming next week. We're trying to finalize a federal fund that there is this. It started out at the beginning of the year that there's this counting entry that needs to honestly go away. And the folks at the RIC tried to resolve, and it's still there. So there's this $33,000 entry that needs to go away because it doesn't balance, but it does balance in reality, but it doesn't in the system. So, anyway, with that said, we'll have final numbers for the Board of Education to approve on August 11th, I anticipate. And then, to that point, Mark Levy is here next week. So the business office, of course, has been ramping up for his arrival, and we're actually going to have him working out of 2 offices this year, so that way his staff can socially distance. So we're all working through this, situation. But that's all I have this evening.
And Mr. Pantaleone's not here. Did you have anything to speak on his behalf, or we're going to just go right to you, Mr. Rydell?
I guess I'll explain his absence at this point. Mr. Pantaleone and his wife, Susie, welcomed a son to their family this afternoon, son Jack. So certainly congratulations to Nick and Susie. Just very happy for them and very happy for their daughter Lily, who's now a big sister. I won't give an actual report other than the reopening that I just explained. Okay. But did you want me to do the Montague piece there?
Sure.
Okay. So I recently shared with the board that we have not received any updates on the Montague School District, and they're seeking to get approval for a send-receive agreement between our school districts for the students in grades 9 through 12, so high school students. Since that time, as you likely read in my email last week, things have changed. We were contacted last week and informed that the initial review that is required prior to making it to the New Jersey Commissioner of Education was complete, and so it's certainly not approved at this point. It's just that portion that they were looking to review the different dynamics, that was complete, and we were provided with a statement that Montague read at their board meeting last night, basically the public announcement regarding the current status of that. So I'll read that for the purpose of our board meeting, and we'll also ultimately put this on our website. So the title is Announcement to the Public on this 21st day of July 2020 regarding the matter of petition for authorization to terminate its sending-receiving relationship with High Point Regional Board of Education and to enter into a sending-receiving relationship with the Port Jervis Board of Education. The background is on December 24th, 2019, the Montague Board of Education filed a petition with the Commissioner of Education seeking to terminate its current sending-receiving relationship with the High Point Regional Board of Education and enter into a new sending-receiving relationship with the Port Jervis Board of Education to educate Montague students in grades 9 through 12. The High Point Regional Board of Education has not opposed this position, and the Port Jervis Board of Education supported this petition. On July 15th, 2020, the acting director of the Bureau of Controversies and Disputes for the Department of Education, which is New Jersey, Jennifer Kilo Herrera, ordered that members of the public have the opportunity to comment on the termination of the existing sending-receiving agreement and the proposed new sending-receiving relationship between Montague and Port Jervis, as such pursuant to NJAC 6A36.1. The record in this matter shall remain open for a period of 20 days in order to allow the public any opportunity to comment. The 20-day period shall begin to run on this day, which is dated July 20th, 2020, because that was the date of their board meeting. The public shall have 20 days from today, which is really yesterday, to submit any written comments to the Commissioner of Education at the following addresses. I'll just read the address to the Commissioner. P.O. Box 500, Trenton, New Jersey, 08625. Comments cannot exceed 10 pages in length and must be submitted to the Commissioner of Education in duplicate. That is 2 copies, must be sent to the Commissioner. Pursuant to the regulation, the comments shall address the following question: will the termination of the existing sending-receiving relationship and or proposed new sending-receiving relationship between Montague and Port Jervis, whereby Montague students in grades 9 through 12 would attend Port Jervis High School, result in a substantial negative impact on any of the affected districts in one or more of the following areas: financial implications, quality of education received by the students, and racial composition of the student populations. So it goes on to provide 3 additional addresses that must be copied on this public comment to the Commissioner. Again, these will be on our website, or if anyone needs them, they can contact district office, but I think it would be excessive to just read all the addresses and specifics in there. And then there's also information regarding how the individual that does want to make this public comment would have to certify what they're saying. So they have to sign a statement showing who they are and what they're commenting on. So don't know if there are any questions on that. It's important to note that this doesn't mean that the Commissioner approved it. This is what has to happen before their state education department actually reviews it. And so this is just one step in that process. And if that does go through, then at that point we would begin actual negotiations between the school districts for the different components of that.
There are no questions? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Rydell. Okay, so item 7 on the agenda is consent items. I need a motion and a second to bring these items to the floor. They include the minutes of the July 1st, 2020 reorganizational and regular meeting, CSE meeting minutes from 7/9/20 and 7/13/20, and the CPSE meeting minutes from 7/9/20.
I'll move it.
Ray? Second by Bill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is personnel employment items. I need a motion and a second to bring these items to the floor for discussion.
I'll second.
Ray, second. Okay, so these include resignation chairperson of annual district meeting and election budget vote, resignation position number 574 custodian, internal transfer, stipend positions for the 2021 school year, appointment vacancy number 2237, position 388 cleaner probationary, appointment support staff cleaner substitutes, appointment support staff teacher aide substitute, and appointment vacancy number 2234, position number 520 confidential secretary. They're all
Wait a
included
minute.
in there.
I'd like to make a motion that we sever items D and I.
Okay, Bill, sever D and I. Do we have a second? There is no
Excuse
I,
me.
Bill. Which
Okay.
one are you talking about? H, you mean?
Uh,
I is the approval.
Wait a minute.
I think you meant H.
No, I have letter I, confidential secretary employment. That's
It
my.
must have been printed before they updated it.
It should
Oh,
be
no.
H.
He's right.
H-
No, he's
H-
right.
H
On
is the
paper.
support.
There's no second to sever that? Flo?
I have a question. Were you able to reach our person?
No, I have not been able to.
Then what happens?
Well, it depends. We have to sever it and discuss about what happened.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of severing those two lines?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so let's take the vote on items A, B, C, E, F, and G. Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we need a discussion on the severing of D and H. So you severed it. What's the pleasure of the board? Do you wish to table it? Do you wish, I don't know how you want to proceed with this.
I would make a suggestion. I don't know if this is the proper way to do this. My only actual issue is the internal claims auditor. If you
Bill, Mike.
Mine's on. Maybe I got to eat it. I don't know if we can just do the internal claims auditor of the those items, or if we have to do the whole section. I'm not sure on that issue.
Being that it's together, I would say you would have to.
I think we have to sever that entire piece because it's
Okay.
one item on
So-
that.
So then, I would think that the board would vote on item D, all in favor or against, and then we would weigh our vote.
Do you want it all in favor or against, or do you want to have a second vote to table it?
I would like it tabled at this point, but either way.
When you sever, it
I'm-
means it's tabled, correct?
Correct, but I'm confused because I thought
No,
we.
it doesn't mean that it's, no.
It's no,
If
okay.
you sever it, it means that
Still-
one
We can
or
still
more
vote.
have an objection on the vote.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I'm just confused because I thought we have to have an internal claims auditor on the books. And if we sever it, then we don't have an internal claims auditor on the books. Is that correct?
That's why the board has the right to vote on the actual sever.
Okay, so
on
you're
that
voting.
particular item.
Okay, so you requested a sever and you got a second to
Right.
sever those two items. So for
Right.
item D,
Right.
all in favor, but see, we voted
no.
to sever, so you can't.
No, you can,
can't you
because
just make
you're
a
voting
motion
on
to
the,
approve
you're
item
voting on
D?
that.
Then you need another motion
Can
on
I-
item D.
Can I make a
Approve it, and who
motion to
doesn't?
approve item D?
Okay, Kayla made a motion to.
I'll second it.
Kayla, Flo,
was
approve
Tanya.
D. Okay. All in favor of approving item D?
Yeah,
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
7. Okay. Now for item H. This was severed. What's the pleasure of the board on this one? I need another motion to either approve or disapprove or to table it. Correct? That's what I need.
Can I make a motion to table it?
I second.
Kayla. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so item D is approved with a vote of 7 for, 1 opposed, and 1 absent. And item H is tabled with a vote of 8 and 1 absent. Okay? All right. Action items number 9. Item A is resolution to approve BCA architects and engineers to serve as the architect for the approved capital project. I need a motion and a second to bring this item to the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Ray? Kayla, you second? Okay. Is there any discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item B, scholarship, Robert G. Urich Memorial Scholarship for the Humanities. I need a motion and a second to bring this item to the floor for discussion.
So moved.
Judy?
Second.
Ray? Any discussion on this item?
Thank you to the scholarship that's being provided. Thank you for that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 9C, agreement between the Port Jervis City School District and the CSEA. I need a motion and a second to bring this item to the floor for discussion.
I'll move it.
Bill?
Second.
Second is Kayla.
I believe that was me, not Bill.
Yeah, it was Ray.
I can't write and say at the same time, I'm sorry. I have enough trouble seeing. Okay. Any discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 9D, appointment vacancy number 2241, food service coordinator, Deborah Mills. I need a motion and a second to bring this item to the floor for discussion.
I'll move it.
Second.
Tanya, and that was Kayla, right? Okay, is there any discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, at this time, item 10A is board member comments. Judy? Don't have any. Brian's not here. Kayla?
Nothing.
Bill?
Nothing, thank you.
Tanya? Flo?
I just want to thank everybody. Is your mic on?
Push the button up
Towards you.
I just want to thank the district for all they do for the community, our children, the students. You know, everybody's going through a lot now. I think this COVID-19 has really gotten to a lot of people, but, you know, we got to stick together and do our best. And what the district has done, you know, and I say it every meeting, you know, I thank you. I thank you for doing what you do. And Michelle, Michelle's a dear friend, and she's retiring after, what was it, 127 years, you said? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Michelle, I didn't mean that. But
She can stay for 122
Yeah.
more.
her grandkids are her blessing, and her family, and I wish her nothing but the best and much love. And thank you, everybody, for what you do for our district.
Ray?
I just want to extend a hearty congratulations and best wishes and blessings to the Pantaleon family on the
Yeah.
birth of their new son.
Linda?
I have a couple of things. I did do a virtual meeting with the OXPA, the Orange County School Board Association, at the end of June. I didn't bring it up at the reorganizational meeting because we had so many things to cover that night. But it was a very good meeting. But there's really not a lot I can say about either the New York State School Board Association or the Orange County one, because everything changes day by day. So I just wanted everybody to know that, you know, we've been getting a lot of emails and everything from them, but there's no sense in reporting something that will be different tomorrow morning. So I'm just going to let that go. I also want to say thank you to the Robert G. Urich Memorial Scholarship Fund for the Humanities. This is awesome to have another scholarship to hand out to our students. We are very fortunate here in Port Jervis to have so many scholarships available to our students. And congratulations and welcome to our new guy, Jack. We're also happy to have that. And for Michelle, no matter where you are, Michelle, we love you anyway because you have been spectacular. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. And I could repeat everything everybody else said, but I won't do that for the sake of time. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to return to executive session to have discussion relating to employments, litigation, and contracts.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Did you want to do dates to remember?
I will do, we don't anticipate any action, correct, tonight? So at this time, I'll do dates to remember. The next regular meeting of the Port Jervis City School District Board of Education will be held on Tuesday, August 11th at 7 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. Okay, so who moved to
Hi,
executive?
Tanya.
Tanya
And Ray.
and Ray. Okay, all right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I should have